Hello everyone, Sarah here again, and today we're going to be talking about vaccines. According to the Center for Disease Control, from 1994 to 2014, there was an estimated 732,000 American children that were saved from death, and 322 million childhood illness cases were prevented due to vaccinations. In 2000, the United States reported that the measles virus was eliminated from the country due to vaccinations. Now in 2019, there are 19 confirmed states that have measles. As of April 4th, there are around 465 individual cases, with that number still growing today. This is the second largest outbreak since the elimination. Vaccinations are crucial to the well-being of our next generation, and everyone who has the option to get vaccinated should. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services on April 8th confirmed that 41 total measles cases were reported statewide. That is something that affects children and adults. The youngest child was only 8 months old and the oldest was 63 years old. Although all 50 states require vaccinations for kids coming into public schools, 47 of those states permit religious exemptions and 19 states allow philosophical reasons. In New York, they have declared a public health emergency that is requiring certain area codes to turn away unvaccinated children from their school, regardless of the reason for exemption. The mayor of the city has even stated that there could be violations and possible monetary fines for not getting your children vaccinated. States that have reported cases to the Center for Disease Control are Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Michigan, Missouri, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Texas, and Washington. Now the CDC says that in any given year, more measles cases can come from one of the following reasons: increase in travelers abroad or communities with pockets of unvaccinated people. That is what I want to address today: the reasons for not vaccinating, the importance of vaccinations, and the impact it will have on our future generations. First, let's talk about what the measles are and why it is such a serious outbreak. They are caused by a virus that reproduces in the nose and throat of an infected individual. The virus can lead to potentially life-threatening complications, including infections of the lungs, ears, or brain. And one of the worst parts is that it can be contracted in almost every way: orally, through physical contact, and even airborne. This virus is harming the people in our very own state and all around the country, but there is a solution: vaccinations. The measles outbreak is only one example of viruses and diseases that can be contained and even eliminated with a simple vaccine. Other examples are the smallpox disease and polio. Children no longer get a smallpox vaccination because the disease no longer exists, and this was all due to the past generations being vaccinated against this disease. The same goes for polio, which was once America's most feared disease. It caused death and paralysis across the whole country, and now there are 0 reports of polio in the United States, all thanks to the incredible vaccine. But there are a group of people all around the world that choose to not vaccinate their children for a long list of reasons. Some are personal, some are religious, and some simply think they do more harm than good. The CDC reports that all vaccines carry a risk of a life-threatening allergic reaction, but this only happens in about 1 per million. With people's lives on the line, parents want to make every right decision for their children. Some believe that this 1 in a million is going to be their child, and in turn go down the unvaccinated route. According to Sanjay Gupta, chief medical correspondent for CNN and a current and practicing neurosurgeon, said, "You are 100 times more likely to be struck by lightning than have a serious allergic reaction to the vaccine that protects you against the measles." Vaccines, when it comes down to the numbers, simply does so much more good than harm. Most are 90 to 99% effective in preventing disease, and they save around 2.5 million children every single year. If you bring that down to hours, that is roughly 285 children saved from disease every hour. And all we have to do as a society is go to the doctor and get vaccinated for the preventable disease and viruses around us. There are huge groups of parents and caregivers that do not want to have their decisions made for them. They are a guardian to that child, and taking away the right to turn down vaccinations is intervening with the way they want to raise their kids. Barbara Lowe Fisher, co-founder of National Vaccine Information Center, said that if the state can tag, track down, and force citizens against their will to be injected with the biological products of known and unknown toxicity today, there will be no limit on which individual freedoms the state can take away in the name of a greater good tomorrow. Even though they are subjecting these children to diseases and viruses that are so preventable, they have the right to refuse vaccines, and so they do exactly that. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services has stated many times that some of the safest medical products available in the world today are vaccines. The American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, UNICEF, World Health Organization, National Foundation for Infectious Diseases, and several other organizations have publicly announced that vaccines are a safe and effective way of preventing harmful viruses and diseases. Along with them being safe and effective, they also keep more money in your pocket at the end of the year. A study in California showed that an outbreak of measles in 11 children resulted in around $123,512 spent due to emergency vaccinations and outbreak response. It costs less time and money to get their vaccine than to get an infectious disease and miss work, or worse, potentially lose your job altogether. And with the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, many vaccinations are available for free with the appropriate insurance. Another reason for choosing the non-vaccination route is the belief that pharmaceutical companies, the FDA, and CDC should not be trusted to make and regulate safe vaccines. People around America, like Congressman William Posey, have stated that Big Pharma is only in it for the profit and selling as many drugs as they can to keep increasing that profit line. There have also been vaccines that the FDA and CDC have once deemed safe, but then were pulled from the market after cases where the drug caused harmful side effects. For example, a vaccine for Lyme disease, Limerix, that was licensed by the FDA and on the market for almost 4 years, was taken down after multiple lawsuits were filed linking to the autoimmune arthritis. In order for a vaccine to be licensed, it has to go through up to 10 or more years or testing, and they are constantly being monitored. Although there have been cases where a vaccine was released and still caused minor damage, the side effects were nothing life-threatening or able to be treated. Vaccines have reduced and even eliminated many diseases that once killed or severely disabled huge groups of people just a couple of generations before us. By continuing to vaccinate every year, parents and children in the future might not have to fear some of the diseases that are affecting people all around the country today. We have the opportunity to change the future in one of the best ways possible. And that is the real point here. There are some viruses and diseases out there that we have no control over whether it will make it into our body and cause harm. But there are also some that we do have control over, and that makes all the difference. Rather than waiting to have a disease or contract a virus and then fight the symptoms that come with it, wouldn't it be easier to visit a doctor, get a shot or a pill, and be protected from something that can cause so much damage? The nationwide use of vaccines have drastically altered the health and lives of hundreds of thousands of people all over last century. This is what life would be like if children were not vaccinated. Parents could expect that every year that polio, a potentially deadly disease, would paralyze 10,000 children, whooping cough would kill 8,000 infants, measles would infect about 4 million children, killing about 500,
rubella, or German measles, would cause birth defects and intellectual disabilities in around 20,000 or more newborns. Diphtheria, a toxin that leads to thick mucus, making it hard to breathe and swallow, would be one of the most common causes of death in school-aged children. Haemophilus influenza type B, the common flu, would cause meningitis in 15,000 children, which could leave many with permanent brain damage. Vaccines are an extremely important way to keep the people in our country safe from potentially life-threatening diseases and viruses. There are pros and cons to everything, but when it comes to the well-being of humankind and the lives of the future generations, every precaution should be taken, including vaccines. The measles were once absent from the United States, and now they are back. Although it may not be the most severe virus, how many are we going to let come back before realizing that the world is better off without them? Protect you and your children. Vaccinate. Thank you for watching.